Let's wonder where your sources are. Is it the old Rothman's football guy, David Sullivan, posing as Baron Munchausen meets Sir Arnaud de Bergerac on his latest acquisition policy of buying a player that he has no real ability to buy? Indulge me for 1 second. I wrote an article in The Guardian 15 years ago about David Sullivan and his transfer activities. And I'll read it. It'll take me about 10 seconds.
I don't read his whole article.
No, just this paragraph. Shut up.
All right.
Third, their business ethic. I've had enough dealings with them to fill the paper, but here's the most recent. Before our game against Birmingham last season, Sullivan came over to me and said, Simon, my boy, we know what you like with bad decisions. We don't want any bad decisions, referring to Andy Johnson's spurious diving image. So 12 months later, imagine my surprise when Sullivan told the press I'd rejected his £6.5 million bid for Andy Johnson. There was no bid, no approach, no inquiry, nothing. Sullivan misled the press and the public in an attempt to unsettle my player and to make himself and Birmingham look ambitious. Here's your mate.
I think if you're so what you're saying, that there has been not one but two bids for Kalvin Phillips?
I don't believe that there's any real... Listen, first of all, the player's got 2.5 years left on his contract. This is a standard way of operating that Sullivan and Gold, maybe a bit more David, has. Who in God's name told them that Kalvin Phillips was ready to go to West Ham and wants to go to West Ham? And on what basis have they gone in there on a £50 million player that was never going to go in the first place? It looks good on paper. We can all bid for players and make sure the media are aware of our ambitions without actually being able to conclude them.
At least do it a bit more realistically, though.
Yeah,
I mean, Kalvin Phillips, come on. He's an England international. He's playing for the injured at the moment anyway. He's playing for Leeds, who are in his hometown. He's got 2.5 years left. He's going to be there to the end of the season at least. And I'm very sure that Champions League clubs or top four clubs will be in for Phillips if he becomes available. No disrespect to West Ham.
But the way they're playing at the moment and what they're doing in positions in the league, is West Ham not a step up from Leeds? To
a degree, yeah, in terms of their stability and their squad depth, maybe, yes. But not when you love the club you play for and you've got bigger fish who are going to be interested in you. The way it works is quite simple. A decent agent or representation will have already be speaking to the big boys in the league about Kalvin Phillips and planning a strategy around getting him to one of those teams. That will be happening. Same as it is with Declan Rice.
So what you're saying is Kalvin Phillips and his people wouldn't view West Ham as a logical destination?
No.
No?
But there's no necessity, right? The only reason you're hearing this is because people want a framework, an outlook, which is our ambitions are in line with yours. We have clear belief in our manager and we're going to support him by making a bid that we know is not going to be successful and then yet letting you know about it.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, my point is that you need a bit more nous. Be a bit more savvy.
Well, you mean be a bit more surreptitious and make it look even more realistic. There's nothing about this transaction that looks realistic. The only thing that's realistic is the fact that Jim's telling us about it. That's the only thing real in this equation.
So history tells you to be suspicious that any bid was in fact made.
Well, history will tell everyone that David Sullivan has dealt with that they should be slightly dubious about some of the things that are put forward. The West Ham fans will have their own view. Some of the abuse that David get is not right, and some of it is on the money in terms of people's critical observation. Abuse is one thing, critical observation is another. Some of what they've experienced has been abuse, but critical observation about how they operate, with the greatest will in the world, I trotted that analogy out because that's how they operate. And that was written in The Guardian, never taken back by them because it happened to be true.
Well, let's also look at the West Ham.
So here we are, 15 years later, comparable amount of money given the inflation in the transfer marketplace. Why would you do it? Why would you tell the world about a transfer bid that you can't conclude?
Logically, do they see Kalvin Phillips as a longer-term replacement for Rice?
Well, whether they do or they don't,
they're not getting him.
It's pie in the sky. It's pie in the sky.
There's one easy way to find out.
But right now,
Leeds.
But right now, they've got good strength in depth, even though they've had some injuries. They've got decent squad that Moyes has put together. The only area they're really lacking is a centre forward. We've been talking about it for ages. Too reliant on Antonio. So therefore, talking about a midfielder, I mean, why would you go and do it?
You think they're pretty well set as it is?
We will remove your head from the seat of Sullivan's trousers and send them off to Leeds to ask them whether indeed Leeds have received and rejected.
You're the boy that worked for The Guardian and then for some obscure reason
I didn't work for The Guardian. I gave them a series of articles which I donated all the money for charity.
But doesn't your journalist hat on and asked Radrazani if he received a £50 million
I wrote about things that were directly relational to what was happening with me, and I had all the first-hand experience.
Yeah,
but rather than the conjecture and subjective observation.
But you wouldn't. It doesn't matter if they have made an official bid.
Who do they make it to?
If they made one to Leeds, it doesn't matter. Because it's unrealistic. You can turn around to the fans and go, look, there's the evidence. I made a bid. I made a bid for Ronaldo.
And let's give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Exactly what Danny says. We're going to bid you 50 million quid, knowing full well you're going to tell us to go forth and multiply. Yeah. But we can then tell everybody we bid 50 million quid. Well, what was the use of that then? You might as well bid 10 million quid because you weren't going to get. You might as well bid 80 million quid. You weren't going to get them because you know you weren't going to get them. You know the player wasn't going to come to West Ham at this stage in his career. Yeah. So what was the point of it? I know. So they can tell you, and you can tell us, that West Ham are in the mix for buying players and really at it, on it and across it. But I don't believe it.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.